Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, obviously, on Pinterest, on Instagram, on Spotify, and a lot of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter Music Education. You can also find my podcast, which is Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, on Apple iTunes or Spotify or a lot of other places, wherever you get podcasts, when you search for Make Moments Matter or my name. I'm just coming on because I wanted to share a little bit about my most recent concert, the concert I had with my third graders the week before Thanksgiving. The concert was called Gratitude Attitude, and I wanted to take just a few minutes to share about some of the songs that I used in the concert, what the kids wore, some of the decorations we used, and sort of all the things that went into it in case you're interested in putting on a concert like that in the future and you wanted some ideas. If not, you could even probably just take some of the songs and use them as lessons in your classroom in the fall or even now. So I just wanted to take just a few minutes to go through sort of what I included and why, so that you can get a good picture of that. So just a little bit of a backstory. This concert schedule, I am at a huge school. I have 1,200 students, so I only do one grade at a time during a concert. We have to do it in the gym. We bring in all the chairs and benches and everything we can find in the school to fit everyone in, and it's pretty crowded. We have quite a few kids who show up. So I did one grade level. This is my third grade, and it was scheduled for the week before Thanksgiving, and so obviously it felt like a great opportunity to do something about being thankful or grateful, and so I crafted a show called Gratitude Attitude, and I took a bunch of songs that we were using in class anyway, or songs and lessons that we would have used in class, and sort of strung them together, brought a through line of a sort of a story and a theme, and made that into our concert. It's a performance, really, and the overt theme that parents and community members saw was Thanksgiving or being thankful, and that's great. But the underlying theme, the thing that I was going for is really it was less about Thanksgiving and more about just the songs and collective things that we were doing in our classroom. And one of the things I even said to parents was, I've only seen your kids like 8 times since the beginning of school by this point, or maybe 7 at that point. And really we'd only worked on it for 5 or maybe 6 rotations. So what we put together in that concert was only about 3.5 hours total work spread out about over 2.5 months. So what I wanted to show to parents was this is what our classroom really looks like. This is what you're really seeing. And so really it was less of a performance and more of an informance, where parents were sort of informed about what was actually happening in my classroom. So really, if you've ever heard of the word informance, an informance is really where you take what you're doing in your classroom and you show that to parents and let them sort of see into your classroom. So this was sort of a mix of that. It was a performance in the fact that the kids were standing up in front of their parents and showing everything off, and because I didn't call it an informance, really, that's what it was. So what I did for the concert was I brought 5 songs together, songs that we were probably going to do together anyway for Thanksgiving, and we just sort of souped them up a little bit, dressed them up a little bit to make them presentable or more of a presentation sort of a setting. So the songs that I did, and I'll go through each one in a second, were Shoe Turkey. We did 5 Fat Turkeys. We did Everything Stew, Over the River and Through the Woods, and Gratitude Attitude. And those are the 5 songs we did, and I'm just going to go through sort of how we did them and what we did to maybe change it from what we would have done in class to make it more of a presentation for parents, so you can sort of see what that would look like. So if you've ever heard of the song Shoe Turkey, if you've never heard of it, I did a whole blog post about it on makemomentsmatter.org. I'll put a link to that in the comments and questions once this video's finished. But Shoe Turkey is really an old song. I first learned about it when I read a book called Step It Down by Bessie Jones Lomax, or Bessie Jones Hawes. I can't remember, and I don't have the book in front of me. Of course, I have my copy at home. But Step It Down is a really great book, and it has a lot of really fantastic songs in it. A lot of them are playground songs, or African-American songs, or game songs, or jump rope songs. And this really was just an old song that people have been doing for a long, long time. It's a folk song. And there's a call and response at the beginning, and then there's a chorus sort of together. So the call and response sounds a lot like John the Rabbit, if you know that song, but it goes like this. Little girl, little boy, yes ma'am. Did you go downtown? Yes ma'am. Did you go to the store? Yes ma'am. Well, for me, since I was the one singing little girl, little boys, I had him change it to yes sir. Easy to change. And in the South, everything is yes ma'am, yes sir, so that was fine with parents. But the story we told parents before we started this was, we have a pet turkey, and we've learned that turkeys don't always do so well around Thanksgiving. So our plan is to teach our turkey to be safe and also to feed our family on things that will keep them full so they're not hungry for turkey. So that's what sort of framed this song. So when we went into the song, the song goes through some food things. So it goes, little girl, little boy, yes ma'am. Did you go downtown? Yes ma'am. Did you go to the store? Yes ma'am. And then I started listing some things that might be a part of a food. This is where I've sort of changed the song. The song doesn't really do this. The song says, did you go to the store? And did you buy some whatever? Did you get me some? And then they go to the chorus. Well, I sort of changed it so that we would start listing off ingredients of a food that we would feed our family so our family wasn't hungry for turkey. So I said, like, did you buy some meat? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some cheese? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some lettuce? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some tortillas? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some salsa? Yes, ma'am. And I didn't tell the kids what we were going to make. I'd done this enough time with kids that they sort of could guess what the maybe different foods we were going to make were. But we made that night tacos. We made cake, so another time after a chorus, so I did you buy some flour? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some eggs? Yes, ma'am. Did you buy some? Well, yes, sir. And we went through some of those ingredients. So it was sort of cool because we were talking about these different foods, and kids had to listen to a list of ingredients and figure out what the food was. And I said, what do you think we're going to make? And they said, you know, they like cake or tacos or whatever. I forget the things we made that night. Spaghetti. And then we would sing the chorus. And then we do it again with a different food. And then we sing the chorus and do it again with a different food. The chorus goes like this. Shoo, 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 turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. Shoo, 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 turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. Gonna buy me another turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. Buy me another turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. And so we just did shoo, 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 turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. And when I taught this in class, what I said to the kids was, we're saying shoo, shoo, shoo to the turkey, which means go away. But turkeys sometimes lose feathers, just like dogs, like fur. If you pet a dog, sometimes fur will come off. It doesn't hurt the dog. It doesn't hurt the turkey to lose a feather. But if a cook comes out and is looking for turkeys and sees feathers on the ground, that's a sign that a turkey's nearby. So what we want our turkeys to do is to go that way, but to throw their feathers over there. So the cook goes that way and the turkey goes that way and is safe. That's the story that I taught to kids, just to give a little bit more explanation and context to the song. But when we sang it, we just go, shoo, 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 turkey, throw your feathers way yonder. And they sang the chorus and they did the actions. And then we do another verse where I was sitting at the piano and I was singing ingredients and things they would guess. Then we do the chorus. We did about 4 different foods where it went verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I like that for parents because they saw a call and response. They saw kids actively trying to think about what is this food making, which kids in 3rd grade don't often do. And it had a story, and the theme was Thanksgiving, but really the song was showing them a verse chorus song with a call and response. So I thought that was sort of cool. And they saw that I actually sing with kids, you know, where I'm singing and they're responding and I'm singing, they're responding. They're seeing that interaction. And a lot of times they don't see that at concerts, or they don't see that at all. And so it's sort of cool for them to get that backside of what's actually happening in the classroom. So that was the first song. Like I said, we adapted that. So that's not the exact thing, but I would say go look up the song in the book Step It Down, or check out my blog post about that song, and you can see sort of how other people have done it and how you might use it for a classroom use. That's just how we did it for the concert. The next song is 5 Fat Turkeys, which I usually do with kindergarten or 1st grade, but we souped it up and we changed it a little bit. If you're not familiar with that song, it goes like this. 5 fat turkeys are we slept all night in a tree. When the cook came around, we couldn't be found, and that's why we're here, you see. That's it. That's not long enough for a concert. That's not even long enough for a lesson in class. So what I've been doing differently is I have 5 kids come up, and they are trees, and they hold the turkey up in their branches. right? Okay, so those 5 kids are standing, and there's one kid walking around, and he's the cook. And I actually added a spoken B section to this song. So the 5 fat turkeys are we called that part A. Part B goes like this. Hide, hide, try to hide. Do not let him catch us. Hide, hide, try to hide. Do not let him catch us. So what we did for the concert is I had my 5 kids standing up there. Each one was holding a turkey. And then the cook was wandering around. We sang part A, we spoke part B, and then I said, and a mighty wind came up through the night, and all the other kids who were sitting out there who were part of, the big group went, and the 5 kids who were holding turkeys trembled, and then I did this. And I tapped a kid on the shoulder, and the kid who was tapped took their turkey and went, and the turkey fell to the ground. And the chef went, aha, a turkey for my turkey dinner. So then we sang the song again. Instead of singing 5 fat turkeys, we sang 4 fat turkeys are we. We slept all night in a tree. Then we did the B section, hide, hide, try to hide. And the cook then, the wind came up. And the cook grabbed, saw the next one and went, aha, another turkey for my turkey dinner. This is something that I actually do in class with kids, and they love it. They think it's so much fun. And whenever a cook chooses or finds the turkey, I have them go find another kid to replace them as the cook. So you have multiple cooks coming out, and that's sort of cool. So we get down to 1 turkey, and we change the words to 1 fat turkey I see. He slept all night in a tree. So the turkey's up there, the last turkey, and when the last turkey falls, then there are no fat turkeys. So we've gone through 5 different times with the song, counting down. It goes pretty quick. And then I said, oh no more fat turkeys, but we have all these audience members who are hungry. 5 turkeys is not enough to feed all of these audience members. And I said, and I turned around and looked at the students and I went, 150 fat turkeys I see, or whatever, how many kids we had. And so then they all went, ooh. And so what we do in class is that they get to move around my classroom as I play piano, and when the music stops, they have to freeze. And I designate a couple kids as cooks. And the cooks are the people who, like, if you move when the music's off, you get caught and sent to the kitchen, you're out. Right. So what we modified that for our large group so that kids could move around or they could dance like a turkey or whatever as I'm playing the piano. I'm just playing the melody of 5 fat turkeys with a really easy accompaniment. And then when the music stopped, everyone had to freeze. And I went through for each home room and I chose 1 kid to stand out in front, and they were the cook, and they got to see who was moving and who was not. And if you moved, you had to sit down. And so the way that song worked is we did the whole thing the whole spiel where we showed the parents the 5 fat turkeys, 4 fat turkeys, 3 fat turkeys too, and then we did the freeze game. So they were seeing what really happens in the classroom with multiple different versions of that song and how we might extend or change how we're doing the starting and stopping based on music. And one of the Georgia standards is using movement to show form or to show changes and contrasts in songs. So that was cool that they got to see that. What was really also nice is that as I was going along to set it up with the 5 trees and the 5 kids holding turkeys, I was saying to parents, these kids didn't know they were going to be the trees, because guess what? We do this in class, and we've done it enough times that I could choose any kid from this group of 200 and they could all come up and do this part. The kids I'm choosing right now didn't know 2 minutes ago they were going to be up here, but now they are. And it's sort of cool because then the parents are seeing those kids feel confident enough with this activity and with this group that they're able to go up and stand and do the different parts. Everyone knows the different parts. So like everyone has learned all these things, and just because these kids were chosen doesn't mean that they're like the most amazing. It's just we're just choosing kids because we want to give an example, but really anyone could have done this. So I think it's cool that parents get to see that. So for that, I just use these foam turkey cutouts. I think I could have made bigger ones if I would have wanted, but it's been busy. I didn't add that, but you could add that really easily. I think parents could still see the turkeys. I used my slide whistle when they fell down. We sang it a cappella, so I didn't need to be playing or doing anything. And the kids all knew the song really well, so it worked out pretty easily. And it was a fun song, I think, for parents to see. The next thing we did was something called Everything Stew. I've done a whole live video about this, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but it started with this activity, this rhythm sort, which is just something I created a couple years ago. And I know these are backwards, I'm sorry, because I'm using my FaceTime camera on my phone. But it's just these little cards that I made that have a food and the word and then the rhythm. So like macaroni has T-T-T-T, or toddy-toddy, or whatever you say, do-day, do-day. Apple pie, toddy-ta. Carrot, ta-ta. So what we did in class, really this is to start our process of getting ready for this Thanksgiving concert. The very first thing we did was this activity, and we took these cards and we played around with them, we moved them around, we made chains, we composed, we arranged, we rearranged, we read rhythms, we did all sorts of things with them. There are so many different things you can do with an activity like this. But what I did was I added a poem that I made up called Everything Stew. And I talked about my grandma used to take all the leftovers from Thanksgiving and throw them in a pot, and she made this amazing stew. We called it Everything Stew because she threw everything in there. And in this bag are 30 different Thanksgiving food words. So things that maybe wouldn't be so good in a pot together, like pumpkin pie and turnip and garlic and turkey. It would be gross if you actually ate it in a stew, but the kids think it's fun. And the poem that I had, I said, Grandma would make this everything stew. And we had this poem. Chicken, pepper, cauliflower too. Let's go make some everything stew. Like I said, I've done a whole live video about this. So in the last live video, I talked more about the poem and the process, and I had a freebie with the poem, text, and visuals and stuff. So if you want to go back, that's actually in the live video feed. And if you don't know where to find that, send me a message or whatever. But you can also go to Make Moments Matter, and then under videos, it should be there. So what I did to add to that was that kids that day, that very first day, they arranged and rearranged. They made a word chain, and then what they did was they transferred it to a worksheet that I made. And this is on TPT, which is having a site-wide sale today. So if you want to go get this super discount, you can get that today until midnight. But I just had them copy over everything onto here. They copied over their foods and their rhythms, and if they ended up with extra time, let's see if anybody in this class did. Some of them did. Started putting on pictures, the pictures of the food. So all of my students did this. I just took a couple different classrooms, 3 different classrooms, and what we did was we would all, as a large group, say the poem, and then one of those classrooms, I took one word chain from that class. I put it into PowerPoint so it was cleaner so kids could read it better. And in class, we read it with just the PowerPoint. When it came time for the concert, I blew it up even bigger. I put it on poster boards so that it would be sort of like this. It'd be a lot bigger. I put it on a big poster board to hold it up for kids to see. So what we did with this, and again, I know, I'm sorry it's backwards. I'm sorry about that. We read the food. So pepper, baked potato, broccoli, turkey, corn, salt, eggplant, cheese. The next time we read the notes. Ta, ta, toddy, 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 ta, 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 ta. The next time we read the notes and clapped. And the 4th time we only clapped. And then, after one class did their word chain, the whole group would say the Everything Stew poem again. And another class did their word chain, those 4 different ways. Food words, notes like the tas and the toddies, or however you say tas, tts, whatever. Notes with claps, and then only claps. And then we'd say the poem again. I did that with 3 different classes, so they really got sort of parents got a rondo form basically out of it. But they also, what I did was, as the kids were saying their word, I took the word chain that we used as a demo, and I took it and I flashed it up on the big screen behind all the students. So parents could actually see what those kids had written down. And they could sort of see and follow along with that, which was really cool. All the kids who were not chosen, because I have all these worksheets from all the different classes, I just took them out in the hallway and I taped them up to the wall, and right next to it I put just a fun little sign that has the name of their teacher. So that parents can, after the concert, go out into the hall, find the teacher's name, and see their student's creation. Because I said, again, you're seeing a demo version of this, but every student has done this. Every student in 3rd grade has done this activity. I just randomly chose a couple to use as a demo. So parents could go afterwards and find the one that belonged to their student, which again was really cool because again, parents were seeing something their kids were doing in class. In this instance, they were seeing, if they went to look for the kids' arrangement, they were finding a composition or an arrangement really based on a theme, fall food, and they were able to see in the concert itself kids reading, kids associating words with rhythms, seeing kids clapping, using body percussion, and then clapping and staying in time without words or anything to guide them. So that was really cool, and it was fun for parents to see that and to see how that all sort of came together. I'd never done anything like that before, and it really worked out pretty well. The only thing I did was that those 3 classes that did the demo, in a class period before the concert practice, we did that process where we would read through the words, the rhythms with claps and the claps. We did that as a class, sort of as a special pull-out activity, and then that just fit into the larger group practices later. I hope that makes sense. So we did Shoe Turkey, we did 5 Fat Turkeys, we did the Everything Stew, which was really sort of a poem showing off how kids have composed. Then we did Over the River and Through the Wood, which has like 10 verses, but we were going to do all 10 verses. Really, we only did verses 1 and verse 3, because verse 1 is over the river and through the wood, to grandfather's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through white and drifted snow. Over the river and through the woods, to grandfather's house away. We would not stop for doll or top, for 'tis Thanksgiving Day. And I just added some simple little actions. We did verse 1. Then, in between verse 1 and verse 3, I had all the students turn. And so this group of 200 kids all turned one way, and we started to act like we were in a sleigh. And I would tell them obstacles that were in the path on the way to grandfather's house. And they'd say, oh no, there's a snowdrift. You're going to have to swerve. And they all 200 went like this. And then I went, oh no, there's a branch hanging over the road. It's hanging low. Everyone duck. And they all did that. It was pretty cute. I had like 4 or 5 obstacles. I had there's a creek coming up. We're going to have to jump over it. You can imagine the things that you would add in. And I said, oh, great job. We're almost there, but let's sing our next verse. So they'd all turn back to the front. And we sang the next verse, which is not verse 2. It's actually verse 3. And I chose it because the first one was grandfather. This one was grandmother. Over the river and through the wood, when grandmother sees us come, she'll say, oh dear, the children are here. Bring pie for everyone. And I chose this verse, 1, because it was of grandmother, not grandfather, but 2, because there was a spoken part instead of just singing part, which is sort of fun. And so then between that verse and the next one, they turned and they did their obstacles again. And to make it easier, instead of learning a 3rd verse, we did verse 1 again, which is the iconic, easy to recognize verse. We did verse 1 again, and so it's sort of an A-B-A form with that riding in the sleigh in between. It went over really well. I think that you could actually, if you wanted, you could have a person who throws a fake snowball at the kids, or you could have someone run along with a branch or something like that if you wanted. We just sort of mimed it all, but you could make it as interactive as you want or not. And it was sort of a crowd pleaser because it's a famous song. People know it. They maybe don't know that there are other verses. And I even said to parents, there are 10 verses. But we're only going to do 2 of them. And I talked a little bit about ABA form, like a sentence about it. We look for ABA form. We look for form all the time in music. But in this song, we're using an ABA form, which is a very elemental form and something that we use a lot. So you're going to hear the verse 1, verse 3, and then verse 1 again, so it's ABA. And I sort of explain that to parents. But it's something for them. It's nice for parents because then they have a map of what they're going to listen for. And then they know when it's going to go and when it's going to end. So it's sort of cool. But I love that song because, so far, 3 of our 4 songs have been folk songs or just, traditional songs. The last song was from Music K-8. It's called Gratitude Attitude. It has this fun little chorus. I've got a gratitude attitude. I've got a gratitude attitude. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got a gratitude attitude. I've got a gratitude attitude, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a fun little song. It's so easy to learn. It takes 1 class period to learn. I've used this in 3 or 4 different concerts. And so then in the next part, in the verse, the kids go, what are you grateful for? And if you go to the website, Music K8, and you look for this song, it's in volume 11, it's number volume 11, number 5 is the issue that it's in. But it has kids, so what are you grateful for? And kid voices come on and say like, I'm grateful for my Aunt Ruth and her famous pie. And then it goes, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful for my puppy Ace. What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for summer break. What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for my big sister. And so on the recording, it has kid voices doing that. So what we did, we sang the song, which does the chorus, gratitude, attitude, and then the verse, what are you grateful for? In the verses, I pre-recorded students saying what they were grateful for. You could do it live, and in other concerts I have done it live where a kid walks up to the microphone and says what they're grateful for. But I pre-recorded it because we just sort of had run out of time. But also, in previous concerts, when kids come up to the microphone to say their thing live, if you have a kid not show up to the concert, then you have to scramble to figure out who's going to say that part. So they had pre-recorded, and what I did was I had a PowerPoint going so that I flashed up a picture of the student who said what they're grateful for and the word of the thing they're grateful for with a little picture, just so the audience could be like, oh, Jose said, I'm grateful for my little brother, or whatever. And so it's a really fun song. It's a cool sort of capstone for the concert because it's a canned song, so it has an audio component that's not like piano or whatever. And so it feels like, ooh, it's more of a musical thing. But it also tells you what kids are grateful for, and it's just so fun. It's really upbeat, and kids love the song. And for me, I like it because it's a good song, it's easy, parents like it, it's a crowd pleaser, and it is super fast to teach because there are really only 2 parts, the verse and the chorus, and those just alternate back and forth. So it's a super great song to end with, and it really did encapsulate sort of what we were doing in class. So again, I liked this one because it had student solos or a solo voice, and kids could hear other students and what other kids were grateful and thankful for. And it was a good example for parents of another sort of type of song that we do in our class sometimes. So the rundown of the songs, we did Shoe Turkey, we did 5 Fat Turkeys, we did Everything Stew, which was the composition activity, we did Over the River and Through the Wood, and Gratitude Attitude. I told kids to dress up wearing fall colors. I don't tell kids dressy clothes or whatever anymore. I just give kids sort of a color palette because there are so many kids who, you know, if you really push, okay, dressy clothes, you want to be girls are wearing a dress, or, you know, boys are wearing ties, or whatever you say, first of all, you're getting into class and gender and problems with that. Because what if a kid doesn't identify with one or the other, or what if the kid doesn't have the money to buy a nice clothes, or whatever, all of that. I've realized, like, I can't control what happens at home. So I just say to parents, have them come in fall colors, or other concerts I say bright colors, or something fish themed, or whatever, you know, fits with your concert theme. So for this one I said something fall colors, so dark reds, or oranges, or greens, or dark greens, or, you know, navies, or whatever, you know, the colors of the trees, or whatever. And I would, leading up to the concert, I would give kids examples. I'd show them, you know, oh, this color green is a real nice fall color. I love it. Oh, wait, what about this color? Is this a good fall color? Oh, no, that's not a good. You know, I would do that in class to give them sort of ideas. So they wore fall colors, and I said if you have anything with like a print of a leaf or a turkey or pumpkins, that'd be cool to wear too. I had a couple kids come, and they had like their parents had like sewn on leaves onto their shirts. It was hilarious. And some kids, you know, had like a leaf or a pumpkin on like a headband or whatever. It was cool to see. But the nice thing about the flexibility of that is that no matter what a kid has at home, they could probably pull from that. If a parent wants to go out and buy nice clothes for the concert, they can, but it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to go out and buy and purchase something for this concert. And for this concert, it didn't really matter. It worked with the theme. So that's what they wore. For decoration, in the back of the gym, like I said, outside in the hallway, I had these, you know, teacher names along with all of the examples from class of these worksheets that kids had made. And some of them are sort of torn up now because they've been in the hallway for several days. But that was out in the hallway for parents to see. What I sent home to all the 3rd graders were these leaves that I made. And it said, my name is blank, and I'm grateful for blank. And then kids were allowed to color them however they wanted. So I gave these to teachers about a week or 2 before the concert. And if you want this freebie, just send me a direct message or an email at makemomentsmatter@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you. But kids colored them in all different colors. It was easy to just cut apart, and then we just took masking tape and sort of put them around on the back wall of the gym. And it was cool because there were all these different colored leaves. And then at the end of the concert, I said, you can go find your leaf and take pictures with the leaves. And then if you want, take your leaf home with you. And they were able to take it and put it on the fridge or whatever. And it's a fun little takeaway for the concert. But it also was a great decoration and so easy. Those are the decoration things. And like I said, I had others out in the hallway. One of the things that I do a concert program that has just a little blurb about the concert. I put the songs we're singing, and on the back, I do student names. I know a lot of people don't do that anymore, and I used to not do it, but I think it's just cool to have all the names on there. It does take me a while to get all those names, but I give them to the classroom teachers and say, could you proofread this list of names, just so that we get all of those correct. But I also put on a list of, at the bottom, thank yous to the teachers and to administrators and anybody else who I think that should be on there. But having those names and the thank yous, it's a little thing, but for some parents, it's a big deal to see their kid's name in print and to see their kid on here. And if I ever mess up a name, I always correct it and send it to parents the next day or make multiple copies or whatever. But that's one thing that I added that I make sure that I do for every concert. Okay, I've talked about a lot of stuff, and I should end the video so that anybody watching can go home after school. But if you like any of these songs, I've done a blog post about Shoe Turkey. I did a live video about Everything Stew and the process I go through doing that. I've done a blog post about Over the River and Through the Wood. So if you like any of these songs and you're like, I want to learn more about that, send me a message, or I'll try and link some of those blog posts and videos and things in the comments section of the video, of this video. But if you're interested in any of this, just let me know. I wanted to go over this program so that if you wanted to craft a program like this for next year, or a springtime version of something like this, that you could take the idea and run with it. You don't have to do Shoe Turkey. You could do John the Rabbit, or you don't have to do Five Fat Turkeys. You could do any other seasonal song, but some of the adaptations I made to this song, or the things that we added in, could be used for really any concert program. I hope that this has been helpful and has given you some ideas. Like I said, if you have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll come back to this video in the coming weeks to answer any questions you might have, or just send me a message. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you all have a great night.